I'm a former US visa officer, and today we're going to talk about how quickly should you reapply for a US visa after a visa denial. My name is Mandy and I'm a former visa officer. I worked with the US Department of State for over 7 years and interviewed over 100,000 visa applicants for every type of visa you can imagine. And this is one of the most common questions I get asked by my own clients. I get emails and messages on a daily basis, really freaked out. I was just denied a US visa. Can I reapply right away or should I wait? Now, generally, it will depend on what happened at your visa interview, but I'm gonna just offer you some general advice that I hope will be applicable to lots of different types of situations. If at your US visa interview, it was a very quick denial where the officer did not ask you many questions, maybe he only asked you 1 or 2 questions and didn't really seem to understand your situation, you can likely reapply without waiting too long. But what I want you to do before you reapply is first get some expert advice to help you figure out what happened at the previous interview. What was the problem? Why did the officer so quickly deny your visa? Because it could be a problem with your situation or with your background. Perhaps it's the fact that you have lots of family in the US already and you have a sibling that just went to the US doing exactly what you're trying to do, maybe going for education. Perhaps it's the fact that you took out a student loan and the officer isn't really convinced that you're going to be able to pay back your student loans if you're applying for a student visa. It could be any number of different situations depending on your personal situation, what type of visa you're applying for, and that is a problem with your situation, and there are some things that you can do to overcome that. There is another possibility for the visa denial, and it might be more along the lines of your delivery. How are you answering the question by the visa officer? Is there something that you're doing that is causing the visa officer to immediately want to deny your visa or feel like they can't trust you? Or is there something else going on? So again, if you're someone who didn't get much of a chance to talk at your visa interview, you're like some of my recent clients who have been denied after just 30 seconds after one question, the good news is it's likely that you can re-interview fast. You don't necessarily have to wait a certain amount of time because it seems like the officer didn't really understand your situation and there is something else about your situation that is putting them off and making them make the snap decision to deny your visa. But if you decide to reapply right away, definitely get some expertise from a former visa officer to understand what happened at that interview and to determine if the denial was based on your background and situation and your circumstances, or if it was just based on your delivery and because you're not able to clearly communicate with the visa officer. Because if it's either one of those situations, if you don't figure out what was the root cause of the denial, it's very possible that you will just end up with the same result. Even if you reapply the week after or 2 weeks later, you might just get denied again, and you really don't want that to happen. Now, if you're applying for an F1 visa and you were denied before taking our F1 visa interview training course, please take the course before you go back and just try again. Take the ZF visa guides so you can better understand what you did wrong in the first interview, because oftentimes we get clients that take our F1 training course, and once they understand how they should structure their answers to the questions and how they should tackle complicated situations, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, the first time I interviewed, I said this, and that must have really confused the visa officer. And you can quickly begin to understand what you did wrong and how you can fix it on your next interview. Now, in a second situation, If you seem to have been asked many questions by your visa officer, and the visa officer seemed particularly interested in something in your situation, then again, now is the time to work with an expert to better understand if you should reapply for your visa right away, or you should wait a while because, do you have a ban? Do you have an ineligibility? And what are the reasons for you being denied? If the officer asked you many questions, the good news is it seems like they really considered your situation. They understand what's going on, but there is something happening that is making them doubt, whether or not you're eligible for the visa. So in either of these situations, whether the officer spent a lot of time with you or not very much time with you, this general guideline will tell you, okay, can you reapply right away or apply later? But the same advice goes is don't just try to do the same thing you did last time because you're likely going to get the same result, and you want to do something different. You want to better understand what happened so that you can be extra prepared, so that no matter when you interview next time, you're ready for it and you're going to be able to overcome your previous visa refusal. Because remember, each time you go in for a visa interview, it leaves a permanent record in the US government systems, and it's like a red flag in the system. And the officer will take notes about what happened during the interview, what questions they asked, what your answers were, so that the next officer and the next officer after that will be able to read it. So it's best not to risk it and just to interview over and over again without having insider insights as to what went wrong, because you are just leaving yourself a whole lot of red flags in the US government systems, and it will make it more difficult for you to get approved a visa in the future. So I hope this video is helpful to you. As you know, my partner and I are both former visa officers, and we are very good at deciphering exactly what happened at the interview and pinpointing what your issues were and how you got that visa denied. And we can help you come up with a strategy to maximize your chances for success at your next interview. So we're here to help. Hopefully this video will help you decide when you should reapply. But again, do something different. Take our F1 training course if you're doing an F1 visa application. Book a one-on-one session if that's what you need help with. A customized strategy for your situation. And I hope I wish you the very best on your US visa journey. I know that this can be hard sometimes, but we're here for you and we want to help you succeed. If you like this video, please hit subscribe, give us a like or a comment, and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thank you so much for sharing our content with others who would benefit from our expert advice as former visa officers, and we hope that you will be successful on your US visa journey.